Hear that? That one chord. It almost feels like it belongs in a different song. Paul McCartney's Maybe I'm Amazed is a monumental achievement in songwriting. It's a raw, beautiful love song written during a very stressful time. Paul McCartney has often talked about the struggles that he went through to keep the Beatles going after the death of their manager, Brian Epstein. But as he was dealing with the chaotic fallout of the world's biggest band, everything dissolving around him, he wrote this amazing song. And he wrote it for his wife, Linda. And the secret to its magnetic emotional pull, the thing that grabs you from the get-go and just doesn't let go, might be one single surprising chord that seems to come out of nowhere. So why does this technically wrong chord sound so incredibly right? Well, what I'd like to do is break down how this single moment of musical genius creates an unexpected emotional depth that makes this track completely irresistible. Incidentally, this is one of my favorite Paul McCartney songs post-Beatles. To understand why this chord is such a shock to the system, we first need to understand the world that we thought we were in. Now, this is real basic stuff, but most songs you hear are written in a specific key. And as you know, a key is just a family of notes and chords, all based around the notes of a specific scale, and they all sound good together. The key is the song's home base. It's the song's center of gravity. Now, Maybe I'm Amazed begins by seemingly taking us on a journey toward the key of D. In fact, if you look at this lead sheet here, the key signature is 2 sharps, D major. So to a lot of folks who love music, D major sounds generally bright, hopeful, clear. It's a beautiful sounding key. The family of chords, of course, includes D major, G major, A major. And these are sounds that our ears are conditioned to expect. They feel comfortable. They feel familiar. So when a song starts, our brains subconsciously anticipate hearing chords from that established family of chords in that particular key. So in fact, the piano intro that comes before the vocals sets us up perfectly. It cycles through this progression, starts with A, and then it goes to D over F sharp, D minor over F, E minor 7, which leads to A major. And so naturally, you think we'd end up on D. So this chord progression is practically screaming, get ready. We're about to land somewhere strong and stable, like D, because we just finished playing an A. It's the musical equivalent of a runway with lights guiding us toward a clear destination. We're all buckled in. We're ready for that familiar, sunny sound going from A to D. But then, this metaphorical plane that we're flying lands in a completely different country. Just as the vocal begins, instead of giving us a chord that feels like the next logical step, Paul McCartney plays a B-flat major chord. You hear that shift? That B-flat chord is not a member of the D major family. It's a stranger. It's a character from a different story, wandering into the screen. And it might be the most important moment in the entire song. This B-flat major chord is what music theorists, those of us who study music theory, we call this a chromatic mediant. That's a fancy term, but it's actually a very simple concept. It's a chord that's related to our home chord of D, but it introduces notes from outside the established key. So there's a shared note, which is D, and it acts as a bridge between these two harmonic worlds. But the other notes, B flat and F, well, they're visitors. They bring a new color and a new mood we just weren't prepared for instead of that sunny landscape of straight D major that we were anticipating and that other songwriters might have done. We're instantly plunged into something richer, something warmer, something more complex. You could call it a moment of harmonic whiplash. McCartney deliberately messes with our expectations. He promises or dangles the promise of a simple love song, and then with one chord tells us this story is going to be far more complicated and far more emotional. It's a plot twist in the first few seconds. So, how does he get away with it? Why doesn't this song start with that A to B flat? Why doesn't it sound like a mistake? Well, the technique that Paul McCartney is using here is often called modal interchange, or more simply using borrowed chords. You think of it like a filmmaker shooting a scene in vibrant color, but for one crucial moment they switch to black and white to create a specific feeling. Well, I don't really know if filmmakers do that, but that's what would happen. And McCartney is borrowing this B flat major chord from the world of the parallel key of D minor. Now, as most of you know, every major key has a parallel minor key. So the parallel minor of D major is D minor. And so while D major is very bright and optimistic sounding, D minor is often described as melancholic, reflective, maybe dramatic. And this B flat major chord feels right at home in the key of D minor. So by starting the vocal phrase with B flat major, McCartney is essentially borrowing a splash of D minor's darker, more somber color and painting it into this seemingly brighter canvas. It's a technique that countless songwriters use to add emotional depth. You can actually hear this technique used in other Beatles songs. Listen to Strawberry Fields Forever, or I'll Be Back, or Something. These songs all use borrowed chords. And so in Maybe I'm Amazed, this borrowed chord kicks off what one music writer has noted is a beautiful, wandering chain of surprising chord changes that keeps the listener in suspense. You know, it almost sounds like we're in the key of C now. We go from C to this G over C, and then it goes to B flat again. And then he's got that. And then it goes into this wild progression. Now we got F over A, and then A flat. Wow, we are a long way away from the key of D. And then we have an E flat over G, and then we're back to C. And then we finally get to D. So McCartney is keeping us waiting, floating through this unfamiliar harmonic territory. And then he finally lands on the home chord of D by way of a phrase modulation. Just jumping from apparently landing in the key of C. Now, we're in D. And so it's a masterful exercise in tension and release. And this brings us to the core of it all. Not just how he does it, but why it's so addictive. Why does this one chord hit us so hard and keep us paying attention? The minute you hear that B flat, you're going, whoa, where are we going? What are we doing? The answer is in the emotional context of the song. Now, Paul, as I mentioned, wrote this song during a difficult time in his life. He wrote it in 1969. In the Beatles, his creative family, and the foundation of his world, it was falling apart. He's spoken about feeling deeply depressed and utterly lost. And this song is a raw, direct tribute to his wife, Linda, and he credits her with pulling him through that darkness. And now listen to that opening again with this in mind. The song is called Maybe I'm Amazed, not I Am Definitely Amazed. Maybe I'm amazed. It's full of vulnerability. Vulnerability. I'll try to say that right. Maybe I'm a man. And maybe I'm a lonely man. Or maybe I'm a lonely man who's in the middle of something that he really doesn't really understand. And so that opening B-flat chord, to me, it's the sound of uncertainty. It's the sound of being in the middle of something that you don't understand. It's the musical embodiment of loneliness right before hope arrives. And so the darker world this B-flat chord plunges us into is the world of Paul's own fear and confusion. It's like the chord progression is telling us the story, this unexpected B-flat chord and the wandering chords that follow, taking us through all sorts of unexpected places. Well, those chords are the problem. That's the emotional turmoil, the eventual triumphant arrival of D major. That's the solution. It's Linda. It's the feeling of being pulled out of time. The harmony literally acts out the lyrical journey, moving from confusion to clarity and gratitude. This creates a powerful emotional narrative that hits us deep down, whether we understand the theory, the music theory behind it or not. You know, our brains love patterns, but they're captivated by surprises that lead to a satisfying payoff. This is a hallmark of Paul McCartney's genius. He doesn't just write chords and melodies. He embeds the story's emotional core directly into the harmony of the song, into the chord progressions. This is a very complex song, and its complexity is a huge part of its lasting power. Listen to this one more time. Hear it now? That's not a wrong note. It's not a mistake. It's the whole story distilled into a single chord. It's a moment of darkness before the dawn. It's the sound of a man in a storm just before he sees the lighthouse. It's the sound of being lost and the sound of being found. All of a sudden we're in D, and you'll notice the chord progression there is just straight D major. So if you've enjoyed this breakdown and you want to understand more about the magic behind the music that you love, then consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. And I'd love to know, what's a song with a chord change that gives you chills every time? Let me know in the comments below. Great songwriters, they know the rules, but geniuses know when to break them. And the opening of Maybe I'm Amazed is a masterclass in how a single, unexpected choice can elevate a great song into something truly timeless. People still love this song and they still listen to it. McCartney still performs it to this day. And it transforms a simple love song into a complex, emotional journey, proving that sometimes the most powerful moments in music are the ones you never see coming. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next one.